I never thought I would be telling this story. 2 months ago, my life seemed perfect. Amanda and I were counting down the days until our wedding. I had found my soulmate, my forever person. We had our dream venue, the perfect honeymoon planned, and a lifetime of happiness ahead of us. Or so I thought. Something changed in her eyes. Small shifts in behavior that I brushed off as wedding jitters. I never imagined discovering what I did, or that her explanation would be even more devastating than the betrayal itself. Before I dive into how my entire world came crashing down, drop a comment, letting me know where you are watching from. Hit that subscribe button if you have ever had your trust shattered by someone you loved. Trust me, what happened next will make your jaw drop. Meeting Amanda was one of those movie moments people dream about. It was 3 summers ago at my college buddy Jake's 4th of July barbecue. I spotted her across the yard laughing with friends near the makeshift bar. She had this infectious laugh that carried over the music, and her golden brown hair caught the setting sun in a way that seemed almost magical. Jake noticed me staring and insisted on introducing us. Our connection was immediate and powerful. We talked until everyone else had gone home, sitting on his back porch, long after the fireworks ended, sharing stories about our childhoods, our dreams, and what we wanted from life. It felt like finding a missing piece I never knew was gone. By the end of the night, I knew something special was happening. I am a software engineer for a tech company in Boston, spending my days creating solutions for problems most people never think about. Amanda worked as an event coordinator for a high-end hotel downtown. Her creative, outgoing personality perfectly balanced my more analytical, introverted nature. Where I was cautious, she was spontaneous. When I overthought things, she pulled me into the moment. We just worked together in a way I had never experienced with anyone else. After 18 months of dating, I knew she was the one. I spent 3 months designing the perfect proposal, coordinating with her favorite waterfront restaurant to arrange a private dinner on their deck, overlooking the harbor. I had scattered rose petals along the pathway, hired a string quartet to play our song, and arranged for our families to be waiting inside to celebrate afterward. When I dropped to one knee and opened that little velvet box, her eyes filled with tears. She said yes, before I even finished asking the question. That night, surrounded by our family's champagne flowing, and everyone celebrating our love, felt like the beginning of our happily ever after. The engagement period was a whirlwind of wedding planning, venue tours, and cake tastings. Both of our families were thrilled. My parents adored Amanda, and her parents welcomed me like the son they never had. Everything was falling perfectly into place for our October wedding at a rustic vineyard estate in the Berkshires. Jessica entered the picture as soon as wedding planning began in earnest. She and Amanda had been college roommates for 4 years. And according to Amanda, they had been through everything together. Jessica was beautiful in an understated way, with quiet intelligence in her eyes, and a genuine warmth to her smile. As maid of honor, she took her responsibilities seriously, organizing the bridal shower and helping Amanda with every detail. I appreciated how she kept Amanda grounded when wedding planning stress threatened to overwhelm her. The first signs that something was off appeared about 6 weeks before the wedding. Amanda began guarding her phone, turning it face down whenever I entered the room. She started working late more often, coming home with a distant look in her eyes. When I would ask about her day, her answers became vague and dismissive. She became irritable over small things that never bothered her before. I convinced myself it was just wedding stress. Planning such a big event while maintaining her demanding job was bound to take a toll. I tried to be more supportive, taking on extra tasks and giving her space when she seemed to need it. Looking back, I feel foolish for not trusting my instincts. The signs were all there, blinking like neon warnings I chose to ignore. The discovery happened on a random Tuesday evening, 3 weeks before our wedding. Amanda was in the shower after coming home late from what she claimed was a work meeting. Her phone on the nightstand lit up with a message notification that caught my eye. The preview simply read, "I miss you already. Last night was." I felt a cold weight settle in my stomach. I had never been the type to snoop through her phone. I trusted her completely. But something about that message, combined with all the small changes in her behavior, propelled me to pick up her phone. I knew her password, her childhood dog's name and birth date. The fact that I could still access it almost made what I found more painful. The message was from a contact named Tyler W. As I scrolled up through their conversation history, my hands began to shake. Explicit messages, plans to meet at hotels, photos I can never unsee. The most recent exchange confirmed they had been together just last night. Not at a work meeting, as she had told me. I sat on the edge of our bed, her phone still, in my trembling hands as the shower water shut off. My mind raced through every possible explanation, desperately seeking one that would make this all a misunderstanding. But there was no mistaking what I had found. The evidence of her betrayal was undeniable, preserved in digital proof I could never ignore. I waited in stunned silence, the phone placed beside me on the bed, as Amanda emerged from the bathroom wrapped in a towel, humming softly to herself. She froze when she saw my face, her eyes darting to her phone beside me. In that moment, before either of us spoke a word, I saw the truth flash across her face. Not shock or confusion, but the unmistakable look of someone caught in a lie they never expected to face. "What are you doing with my phone?" Amanda asked, her voice unnaturally high. She reached for it, but I moved it away. "Who is Tyler W.?" I asked quietly, fighting to keep my voice steady. Her face cycled through expressions rapidly. Surprise, anger, calculation, and finally, a strange resignation mixed with defiance. "You went through my phone. That is a violation of my privacy. Answer the question, Amanda." I had never heard my own voice sound so cold. She sighed dramatically, sitting on the edge of the bed a few feet away from me. "Fine. Tyler is a coworker. We have been seeing each other. It is not a big deal." The casualness of her admission hit me like a physical blow. "Not a big deal. We are getting married in 3 weeks. Oh, please, Isiah, do not be so dramatic." She stood up, tightening the towel around herself. "It is just physical. It means nothing." I stared at her, unable to reconcile this person with the woman I thought I knew. "How long has this been going on?" "A few weeks," she replied now, rummaging through her dresser for clothes, as if we were discussing something as mundane as grocery shopping. I was feeling trapped. Okay, the wedding, all these expectations. I just needed something for myself. "Something for yourself," I repeated hollowly. "You mean someone else in your bed?" She turned to face me, and what she said next would forever change how I saw her. "I deserved a final fling before I am stuck in a boring marriage. It is actually quite common, you know. Wedding jitters, last-minute freedom. You are making this into something bigger than it is." The words struck me like hammer blows. Boring marriage. Deserved a final fling. As if betraying everything we had built together was some kind of entitlement. "You think our marriage would be boring?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. She rolled her eyes. "That is not what I meant." "God, why are you being so sensitive? This is exactly why I needed something exciting. You overthink everything." My shock was rapidly turning to anger. "So this is my fault. I caused you to cheat because I am too boring and sensitive." I did not say that, she snapped, pulling on clothes with sharp, angry movements. "But since you are blowing this completely out of proportion, maybe you need to look at your part in this too." I stood up, no longer able to sit still with the rage and pain coursing through me. My part. My part was being faithful. My part was planning our future. My part was loving you completely. "Oh, spare me the self-righteous routine," she said with a dismissive wave. "People hook up all the time. It does not mean anything. I still want to marry you. So can we just move past this? We have the venue walkthrough tomorrow, and I do not want to show up with puffy eyes Because you made me cry over nothing. Her complete lack of remorse stunned me into silence. This person standing before me, casually dismissing her betrayal as nothing, was a stranger wearing my fiancé's face. I grabbed my keys and wallet from the nightstand. "Where are you going?" she demanded. "We need to talk about this like adults." "There is nothing adult about cheating on your fiancé and then blaming them for it," I said, walking toward the door. "I need space." "Isiah," she called after me, her tone shifting to something sweeter, more manipulative. "Come on, baby. Do not leave like this. I made a mistake. Let us talk it out." But the damage was done. I closed the door on her pleas and drove with no destination in mind, ending up at my brother Marcus's apartment across town. When he opened the door and saw my face, he immediately pulled me inside, poured me a whiskey, and listened as I poured out the whole story. That first week was a blur of pain, confusion, and anger. I stayed on Marcus's couch, ignoring the barrage of calls and texts from Amanda. Her messages cycled between half-hearted apologies, accusations that I was overreacting, and reminders about wedding arrangements we needed to finalize. Not once did she acknowledge the depth of her betrayal or show genuine remorse. Her family started calling too. Her mother left voicemails about how disappointed she was in my immature response. Her father texted that real men forgive mistakes. Even her sister reached out to remind me how much money had already been spent on deposits that could not be refunded. The implication was clear: my feelings were less important than their financial investment in the wedding. On the 5th day of my self-imposed exile, I received an unexpected text from Jessica, Amanda's maid of honor. "Can we talk coffee at Riverside Cafe tomorrow at 10:00 a.m.? I was hesitant but agreed. Part of me wondered if she was acting as Amanda's spy sent to guilt me into returning. Jessica was already seated at a corner table when I arrived, 2 coffees waiting. She looked tired with dark circles under her eyes, but her smile was genuine when she saw me. "Thank you for coming," she said as I sat down. "I have been worried about you." "Amanda send you?" I asked, unable to keep the edge from my voice. She shook her head firmly. "No. She does not know I am here. Actually," she took a deep breath, "I came because there are things you should know. Things I should have told you a long time ago." Over the next hour, Jessica revealed a side of Amanda I had never seen. According to her, this was not Amanda's first time cheating. She had done the same thing in her last 2 serious relationships, always when things were getting too real. Jessica had witnessed the pattern repeat itself: the secretiveness, the justifications, the blame shifting. "I should have warned you," Jessica said, regret heavy in her voice. "I told myself it was different with you, that she had changed, that it was not my place to interfere." She reached across the table briefly, touching my hand. "I am so sorry, Isiah." Learning that Amanda's betrayal was part of a pattern rather than an isolated mistake somehow made it both worse and easier to accept. Worse, because it revealed just how little our relationship had meant to her. Easier, because it confirmed I was not the cause of her behavior. This was who Amanda was. The deepening sense of betrayal reached new heights the following day, when Amanda showed up unannounced at Marcus's apartment. My brother tried to turn her away, but she pushed past him, finding me in the living room. "Enough of this," she declared, hands on her hips. "You have made your point. You are hurt. I get it. But we have a wedding in 2 weeks, and there are decisions that need to be made." I stared at her, dumbfounded by her audacity. "You think I am still marrying you?" Her expression hardened. "Do not be ridiculous." "Of course you are. Look, I am giving you until this weekend to get over this little tantrum. After that, we move forward with the wedding as planned, or it is off completely. Your choice." "That is not much of a choice," I replied, a strange calm settling over me. "I made a mistake," she said, her tone softening in a calculated way I now recognized. "But you are not perfect either, Isiah." My little indiscretion. It was just a natural response to commitment, anxiety. Any therapist would tell you that. It actually shows how much I care about us that I needed to work through these feelings before our marriage. Her twisted logic was almost impressive in its creativity. In her mind, cheating on me was actually proof of her commitment. I might have laughed if it was not so painful. "I think you should go," I said quietly. Her face darkened. "Fine, be that way. But think carefully about what you are throwing away. You will never find anyone who understands you like I do." With that parting shot, she stormed out, slamming the door behind her. Later that evening, I discovered through mutual friends that Amanda was spreading her own version of events. According to her, I had been emotionally unavailable for months. She claimed I had been the one growing distant, forcing her to seek comfort elsewhere. She even suggested I had anger issues that made her afraid to break things off directly. The lies were calculated to paint her as the victim rather than the perpetrator. As painful as this new attack was, it crystallized something for me. The woman I had loved, or thought I had loved, did not exist. Perhaps she never had. In her place was someone capable of extraordinary selfishness and manipulation. I felt a profound sense of both loss and escape, grieving for the future I had imagined while recognizing the bullet I had dodged. Throughout this ordeal, Jessica continued to check in on me. Her support seemed driven by genuine concern rather than obligation, and I found myself increasingly grateful for her friendship during the darkest moments. 1 week after discovering Amanda's betrayal, I woke up with a clarity I had not felt since, before the relationship imploded. While making coffee in Marcus's kitchen, I realized I had been mourning someone who did not exist, the Amanda I thought I knew, rather than the person she had revealed herself to be. That morning I called the vineyard to cancel the wedding. I contacted the honeymoon resort to cancel our reservation. I emailed our guests, explaining that the wedding was off, apologizing for the inconvenience, without going into details. Then I texted Amanda, "I am returning your engagement ring today. Meet me at the cafe on Main at 2:00 p.m. When I arrived at the cafe, I half expected her not to show. But she was there, sitting primly, at an outdoor table, sunglasses hiding her eyes. I sat down and placed the small velvet box between us. "So you are really doing this?" she said, her voice tight with anger. "The wedding is canceled," I confirmed. "I have notified everyone." Her composure cracked. "You had no right to do that without consulting me. Do you have any idea how humiliating this is? What people will think? I imagine they will think our engagement ended because you cheated on me with your coworker." I replied calmly. "Keep your voice down," she hissed, glancing around. "You are being incredibly selfish. You know that. One mistake, and you throw away everything we built." I studied her face, searching for any sign of the woman I thought I had known. "This was never about the cheating, Amanda. It is about who you revealed yourself to be afterward. You are not sorry you hurt me. You are sorry you got caught." "Oh, please," she scoffed. "Get over yourself. Plenty of men would forgive this to be with me." "Then go find one of them," I said, standing up. "I deserve better." The look of shock on her face almost made me smile. She had been so confident in her power over me, so certain I would eventually capitulate, that my firm boundaries seemed incomprehensible to her. For perhaps the first time in our relationship, I was seeing her true reaction to not getting her way. "You will regret this," she said, her voice cold. "No one knows you like I do, Isiah. No one will put up with your issues the way I have." I left without responding, feeling lighter than I had in weeks. Her mask had slipped completely, revealing the narcissism beneath. Each nasty comment only confirmed I was making the right choice. Over the next few days, Amanda alternated between rage and desperate attempts to win me back. She showed up at my workplace, with tears streaming down her face. She sent extravagant gifts to Marcus's apartment. She enlisted mutual friends to plead her case. When none of this worked, she returned to spreading lies about me, now claiming I had been emotionally abusive throughout our relationship. During this chaotic time, Jessica remained a steady source of support. We met regularly to handle the logistics of unwinding wedding plans, contacting vendors, arranging refunds, where possible returning gifts. These business-like meetings gradually evolved into deeper conversations about relationships, trust, and what we both wanted from life. Jessica confessed that she had always felt conflicted about her friendship with Amanda. "I knew who she was," she admitted during one of our coffee meetings. "I saw how she treated people, how she used them. But we had been friends for so long I felt loyal to her despite everything." "Why did you stick around?" I asked. "Habit mostly, and some misguided sense of loyalty." She looked down at her coffee. "And I never felt I had the right to judge her. But watching her do this to you, it crossed a line I could not ignore." There was something refreshingly honest about Jessica. She did not pretend to be perfect or hide her complicity in staying silent about Amanda's past behavior. Her regret seemed genuine, as did her desire to make amends. As the weeks passed, our meetings became less about wedding cancellation logistics and more about genuine connection. I found myself looking forward to seeing her, appreciating her subtle humor and thoughtful insights. There was an attraction building between us that I tried to ignore out of respect for the complicated situation, but it became increasingly difficult to deny. The night that would have been our rehearsal dinner arrived. Marcus suggested I go out with friends to distract myself, but I could not face a night of sympathy and awkward conversations. Instead, I texted Jessica, "Weird night to be alone." Dinner. We met at a quiet restaurant across town, far from anywhere we might run into mutual friends. The conversation flowed easily, touching on everything from childhood memories to career aspirations. For the first time in weeks, I found myself laughing genuinely. Jessica was nothing like Amanda. Where Amanda commanded attention, Jessica invited it. Where Amanda manipulated, Jessica communicated honestly. "I should not be enjoying tonight this much," I confessed as we lingered over dessert. "It feels wrong somehow." "Because tomorrow would have been your wedding day?" she asked gently. "Because I am sitting across from my ex-fiancée's best friend, having a better time than I ever did with her." Jessica's smile was sad. "Ex-best friend. I tried talking to her last week about how she treated you. She accused me of always being jealous of her. Said some things I cannot unhear." She hesitated. "I know this is complicated, Isiah. The timing is terrible. But I cannot pretend I do not feel something between us." The tension between us had been building all evening. Now, with her feelings acknowledged openly, it became electric. We paid the bill and walked along the riverfront, the night air cool against my skin. When her hand brushed against mine, I took it without thinking. It felt right in a way I could not explain. "People will talk," she said quietly, looking at our intertwined fingers. "Let them," I replied. "We have done nothing wrong." What happened next was not planned or calculated. We ended up at her apartment talking until the early hours of the morning. Our first kiss felt like coming home to a place I had never been before. What followed was not just physical connection, but an emotional one that made my relationship with Amanda seem hollow in comparison. With Jessica, there was no performance, no manipulation, just two people finding comfort and joy in each other's company. The irony of Amanda's words, "I deserved a final fling," was not lost on me. But what Jessica and I shared was not a fling. It was the beginning of something honest and real, built on mutual respect rather than game playing. We agreed to take things slowly, to give ourselves time to be sure this was not just a reaction to recent events. But we also acknowledged that life rarely unfolds according to perfect timing, and sometimes unexpected connections are the most genuine. News of our relationship reached Amanda within days, through the inevitable grapevine of mutual acquaintances. Her reaction was explosive and public. She showed up at Jessica's apartment building, screaming accusations in the lobby, until security escorted her out. She sent a barrage of vicious texts to both of us, alternating between threats and tearful pleas to reconsider. The most revealing moment came at a mutual friend's birthday party. We had both forgotten we would be attending. Amanda spotted us together and completely lost control, throwing a drink in Jessica's face and screaming that we had planned this all along to humiliate her. Her parents had to physically remove her from the restaurant, apologizing profusely to everyone present. As awful as the scene was, it provided a strange sort of closure. Everyone in attendance witnessed Amanda's true nature. The narcissistic rage, the inability to accept consequences, the complete lack of dignity. Any lingering doubts about my decision to end our engagement evaporated that night, along with much of the social support she had cultivated through her lies about me. In the aftermath, friends who had been hesitant to take sides reached out to apologize for believing Amanda's version of events. The narrative she had crafted about being the victim crumbled in the face of her public meltdown. While I took no pleasure in her unraveling, I felt vindicated and finally free from the shadow of her manipulation. Jessica and I weathered the storm together, growing closer through the shared experience. What had begun as mutual support in a difficult time was blossoming into something neither of us had expected, but both increasingly treasured. The revenge narrative Amanda tried to impose on our relationship, that we had gotten together to hurt her, could not have been further from the truth. We had found each other not out of spite, but because sometimes the universe has better plans than the ones we make for ourselves. 6 months after what would have been my wedding day, my life had transformed in ways I never could have predicted. The pain of Amanda's betrayal had faded, replaced by gratitude for the bullet I had dodged. Through mutual friends, I heard she was now dating Tyler, the coworker she had cheated with. According to reports, she was already showing the same controlling, manipulative behaviors that had characterized our relationship. I felt nothing but sympathy for him, knowing he would eventually discover her true nature as I had. My relationship with Jessica had grown steadily stronger. We had taken things slowly, both aware of the unconventional beginning to our story. She had moved into a new apartment to make a fresh start, and I had finally left Marcus's couch for my own place. We spent most weekends together, building a relationship based on honest communication and genuine respect. Qualities I now recognized had been sorely lacking with Amanda. The healing process had not been linear. I had good days and bad days, moments of anger and periods of sadness for what might have been. Therapy helped me process the gaslighting and emotional manipulation I had experienced, making me more aware of my own boundaries and needs. Friends who had stood by me during the worst moments remained close, and I had reconnected with people I had unintentionally neglected during my relationship with Amanda. Jessica had done her own healing work, confronting her guilt about not warning me sooner and examining the dynamics of her long friendship with Amanda. I stayed friends with her, partly out of habit, partly out of fear. She confessed one night as we talked about our journeys. She had this way of making you feel special when you were in her good graces and terrified of losing her approval when you were not. It took seeing how she treated you to finally break that spell. My confidence had returned stronger than before. At work, I had taken on leadership of a challenging new project, something I might have hesitated to do, while with Amanda, who always seemed to require my emotional energy, be focused primarily on her. I had picked up rock climbing, something I had always wanted to try, but Amanda had dismissed as too risky. Each small step toward living authentically reinforced that ending the engagement had been the right choice. 3 months into our relationship, Jessica and I ran into Amanda at a local farmer's market. She was alone, scrolling through her phone while waiting in line for coffee. She spotted us before we could change direction. The look that crossed her face, shock, rage, then a forced smile, spoke volumes about her unresolved feelings. "Well, is not this cozy?" she said, approaching us, with brittle brightness in her voice. The backstabber and the runaway groom. How perfect. "Hello, Amanda," I said calmly. "I hope you are doing well." "Oh, I am doing wonderfully," she replied, her smile not reaching her eyes. "Tyler and I are actually talking about getting engaged soon." He knows how to appreciate what he has, unlike some people. Jessica squeezed my hand supportively, but remained silent. I am happy for you, I said, genuinely meaning it. I wish you both the best. Amanda's facade cracked slightly. She had clearly expected, perhaps even wanted, a different response. You know I did you a favor, Isiah. We would have been miserable together. You are too. Boring for someone like me. Too conventional. In that moment, looking at this woman I had once planned to spend my life with, I felt nothing but peace. You are right, I agreed. We wanted different things. It worked out for the best. My calm acceptance seemed to infuriate her more than any argument would have. Without another word, she turned and walked away, shoulders rigid with anger. Are you okay? Jessica asked as we watched her go. I realized with some surprise that I was. Completely okay. That was the final piece I needed, seeing her and feeling nothing but relief. That chance encounter crystallized the most important lesson from this entire experience. Self-respect is non-negotiable. By refusing to accept Amanda's betrayal and manipulation, I had not only avoided a lifetime of similar treatment, but had opened myself to the possibility of genuine connection. The worst betrayal had led to the best outcome, not because of any desire for revenge, but because it forced me to value myself enough to walk away. The truth is, relationships should add to your life, not diminish it. They should bring out your best self, not make you question your worth. I learned that sometimes the people who seem perfect on paper are completely wrong in reality. And sometimes the most meaningful connections come when you least expect them, not as a final fling, but as a new beginning. Have you ever had to make a difficult choice that ended up being the best decision of your life? Drop a comment below with your story. If this resonated with you, please hit that subscribe button and share this video with someone who might need to hear that walking away from toxicity is an act of self-love, not failure. Like this video if you believe everyone deserves a relationship built on trust and respect. Thank you for listening to my story. And remember, sometimes losing what you thought you wanted leads you exactly where you need to be.